Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the DC fan page that has plot synopsis to the story as well as character bios. So we are going to be looking at Batman 423 from 1988. I am flip flopping back and forth between Detective Comics and Batman during this time. The Detective Comics run is by Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle, and the Batman run is written by Jim Starlin, mostly with Jim Aparo, although this one is Dave Cockrum. He is famous for as co-creator of the new X-Men. This is a wonderful cover by Todd McFarlane. Absolutely wonderful. This issue is very expensive just for this cover. I actually have this issue. I bought it before all these things. Actually, I had it as a kid, but I hated just I was turned off by Dave Cockrum's art during this era. I just couldn't appreciate it. And I tore out the cover. So I actually had the cover and threw away the issue. But as I am a completist and wanted to get the Jim Starlin run in its form, I actually have Jim Starlin's entire run. So um, we'll look at this cover one more time before we get through the. Todd McFarlane does not do the insides. Just so that you're aware. The insides are unmistakable by Dave Cockrum. Jim Starlin writes. He had a short Batman run, and I'm covering most of the issues. I did not do the Millennium issues, um, but I'm kind of covering his run up until he kills off Robin. And then we're going to kind of, after that, we're going to skip around a bit. So, all right. You should have seen him is the title of this story. He couldn't have been more than 18. He'd already decided life wasn't worth living. It was on the Gotham Borough Bridge. Love the name. The call came down to emergency services about 2:45 a.m. By the way, about 2:45 a.m. is an exact, is actually uh, pretty cool because most of the time they'll say something like about 2:42 a.m. That's exact time. About 2:45 is actually the correct way. So if you ever say something like it's about to something, you want to make sure you do it in like 5 minute increments or whatever. If you do anything like 2:54, 2:53, 2:52, that's exact time. So it's a nice little um it's a nice little additive here. So all I could get out of him was that his name was Kenny and he had been on a heroin habit he couldn't beat. And that his name was Kenny and he had, sorry, a heroin habit he couldn't beat. Here we have our credits. That's the reason I was planning to check out. Um, Jim Starlin, Dave Cockrum, and Mike DiCarlo is the inker. Denny O'Neil was the editor. So part of my problem was when this work looked dated. Of course, Dave Cockrum had been doing work from the 60s and 70s. Of course, it's going to look dated when you compare it to Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane. But that cover really did a good job in selling this issue, and I wonder if this issue is much more expensive from people like me that had tore off the cover. So there actually aren't very too many copies of this issue out there in the wild. Kenny was going to take that big step off into infinity, 465 feet straight down into the ice cold waters of Gotham River. Course, you know it's my job to talk poor jerks like Kenny out of doing themselves. Unfortunate, Kenny wasn't buying any of what I had to sell. All he wanted to do was escape from the mess that dope had made his life. So, part of what I want to just let people know is Jim Starlin is mostly known as the guy that does Infinity Gauntlet and Silver Surfer and a lot of that space opera stuff. However, he did a really good job at Batman. I've also covered, he didn't just do Batman, but he also did the Cult limited series with Bernie Wrightson, which I have covered. He does an incredible job doing this gritty street level stuff. So I gave it all I had, but I knew it wasn't enough. I was losing him. That's when Batman showed up, like he had popped out of nowhere. And Batman says, "So this is the young fool the young fool who wants to end his own life." And he's like, "Stay back! Don't touch me! I'll jump." And Batman says, "That would be a big mistake. A lot of you know, sucker, I ain't got squat to live for. I'd be a lot better off dead." So Mr. T popularized the term sucker back in the 80s. And everybody just assumed black people said sucker all the time. So you're never better off dead, says Batman. You'll miss all the possibilities that way. What possibilities, man? The chances to start a new and better life. Nice vertical panel. Listen, I'm poor and I'm black. I got a Jones I can't shake. Got no family, no job, no future. Ain't no better life waiting for me. And the guy jumps, and Batman, of course, is no. And I love how one eye is bigger than the other. Batman don't, but Batman jumps after him. And he grabs the kid. But of course, Batman was wearing a harness. As they hung there, I could see Batman talking to the young junkie. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I asked Kenny about it later. Batman says, "That was real stupid, Kenny. You threw your life away, wasted it. By all rights, you should be dead now." Batman gets him. "But you're not. You got another chance. It's time to start over, Kenny. Get on a drug rehab program. Clean up your body and your life. Quit looking for excuses to fail. You've got as good a life as anyone. Think about it." And he tosses him to the police about 50 feet down. Then Batman unhooked himself, swung over the bridge, and disappeared into the framework before anyone got a chance to thank him. So that morning now at 5:47. Willie's Diner, a favorite late-night hangout for off-duty cops. Another vertical panel. You know, I think the Batman may have actually shot Kenny into getting his act together. You should have seen him, Greg. He was incredible. I did see him tonight, Bart, huh? But the Batman I saw was a whole different person. At 3:50, my SWAT team got a call on a hostage situation. An officer on patrol interrupted a robbery in progress at the deli. The 3 crackheads blasted him and took 4 civilian hostages. The wounded cop made his way to a payphone and called for backup. We got the area sealed off in less than 5 minutes. There was no way those dopers were going to slip out of this setup, and they knew it. The hostage negotiator gave it his best shot. Looks like Ronald Reagan. But he was as successful as you were with that jumper. The punks wanted $100,000 in cash and a Cadillac to escape in. They claimed that if their demands weren't met by 4 o'clock, they'd kill a hostage. And so, looking at watch, Aunt May here is about to buy it. Looks like Aunt May. And so, they're about to shoot her. great page here. Absolutely great page. And there's Batman. Absolutely great page. I just could not appreciate this at this time. So knocks off the or messes up his uh, aim. Batman goes in, breaks this guy's arm, kicks this other guy, and he's like, "Get back, Batman. I swear I'll blow her head off. I swear I will." And Batman goes, "And I swear that if you harm that woman at all, I'll make you pay. I'll break and twist things within you. You can't conceive of the pain I can cause. Just look at that. It's pain that will go on forever. You won't escape it. Because I won't let you die." Absolutely great. And he's like, "No," and Batman jumps toward him. And the cops are like, "What the heck?" But he throws the guy out the window. Of course, everyone rushed in, but it was all over. Nothing to do but clean up the mess Batman left behind. Yeah, he was gone. Great panel here. You should have seen him. I think McFarlane inspired this on his Batman Year 2. He really kicked some tail. I tell ya, he went through them like a chainsaw, and this guy Jackson is looking at them. The Batman is a tough old mother, mean and cold as ice. And he's like, "No, he's not." "Huh? Say what?" "Sorry to interrupt your conversation. My name's Jackson. Kirby Jackson. I ran into Batman tonight myself. But I got a complete different impression of the man than either of you did." And they're like, "Have a seat." "Yeah, tell us about it." Real quick, Jim Starlin really does a lot of first person narration. So a lot of these issues are narrated in the first person, whether it's by Batman himself or different people. So it was just a little before 5 o'clock. Sorry, before 5 this morning. I was patrolling down by the docks. That's when I spotted them, just kids. I couldn't figure out what they were doing so late, down at the warehouse district. They took off as soon as they realized I'd spotted them. I figured I'd catch them on foot, so I chased after them. I was wrong. Fast and agile. They knew their territory too, and he trips. And so the kids are going around, and Batman's like, "Out a little late, aren't we?" I'd never have caught up to them if Batman hadn't shown up. This is a great panel here. I guess both Batman and me cornered them like that kind of spooked the little boy. "Stay away from us," he says. "We ain't going back. You can't make us." And Batman's like, "What?" I'd never met the Batman before tonight, but I'd heard all the stories. You know, how violent he could get. I wasn't sure what he'd do. I was kind of afraid for the kids. And he goes up to them and goes, "Can we talk about this?" He knew just what to say to put them at ease. Turns out their names were Hank and Jenny Watkins. I figured they were a couple of runaways. Once again, I was wrong. Batman finally convinced them to show him where they lived. Their home was a packing crate under the West Side Bridge. I couldn't believe it. They burned garbage at night to stay warm. They lived on what food they could find in the dumpsters behind restaurants. They survived in Gotham City for 3 months without 2 cents between them. Hank's 7 years old. Jenny's just turned 5. It took Batman a while to get the kids to tell him how they'd come to be here. They were still a little scared, and their story was painful. They'd been raised in a little backwater Florida village called Gators Glade. They were poor, but the family managed to get by. It sounded like their parents were basically pretty good folks. It wasn't their mother's fault when she got killed. From then on, things just seemed to go from bad to worse. Their dad got laid off at the textile plant. Their father heard there was work in Gotham City, so they packed up and headed home. But when they got here, they discovered there were more people looking for jobs than jobs. Then one night, Mr. Watkins got into a poker game hoping to win enough money to get them back to Florida. Apparently, someone got caught cheating. There was a fight, and their father ended up with a knife in his heart. Some social worker found them a couple days later. She said she'd take them to a home. The only trouble was they couldn't go to the same home. Hank had to go to a boys' home, Jenny to a girls' home. And so then they ran away. The kids didn't like the idea, so they split. They've been on the streets ever since. Jenny and me's family, she needs me. No one's going to part us. Mom and Pop would have wanted us to stay together, and you can see the little girls crying. That's when I saw it. He turned his face away from the shadows, hoping the shadows would hide it. But I saw anyway. Anyhow. And you can see Batman crying, and he hugs the kids. Kids, I'm going to see that you're never separated again. I have a friend. His name is Bruce Wayne. He can put you up until we can locate any relative you might have back in Florida. You mean like Aunt Susan? Exactly. Any objections, officer? What could I say? We went back to my patrol car, called the Commissioner Gordon on the radio, and to take care of the paperwork needed so Wayne could take custody of the kids. Half an hour later, everything was set. Incredible. Thought you might be interested in hearing the story. Gotta run. Wife needs a ride to work. See you around. Take care. And so the guy goes, quite a tale, huh? A pile of bull droppings, if you ask me. That jerk heard us talking, but he made that story about Batman to impress us. You think so? Think about it. The Batman crying? Give me a break. And so we're now at Wayne Manor. And here comes Bruce to go check and sees the kids. I trust nothing has changed since the last time you checked on them 5 minutes ago. And Bruce is like, they're still sound asleep. I'll begin my inquiries for Aunt Susan this afternoon. I appreciate you helping me locate their relatives, Alfred. And Alfred says, it's all part of the job, sir. But I do find it a bit disconcerting. I'm used to you coming home with bullet holes and bruises, not wayward children. Like you said, Alfred, it's part of the job. Really. The avenging Dark Knight of Gotham isn't going soft on us, is he? Maybe just a little. But not enough for anyone but you to notice. So, I hope you liked it. Great issue. I just didn't give Dave Cockrum a chance. And when I originally had seen this, but it's really good stuff. So, Batman 423 by Jim Starlin and Dave Cockrum. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening. Goodbye.